Okay, so welcome to session 2 of SPSS. Again, this is a summary of what we did in class. I will try to be fast to fit everything we did within 10 minutes. I've prepared a PowerPoint where I have the points of the things I want to talk about. So what we were supposed to do in this session first is to open a file that is already created, okay, and start to getting to know what we have in this file. So what you need to do is go to SPSS, open SPSS as we've done last time, and then you're going to use your file, open data, and then you click on data, and then you're going to look for where you saved that file. Now that file was on Blackboard. I've asked you to download it, and hopefully you have it on your downloads. I have it right there ready for me to open. I just click on it, and again, notice it's called data pharmacist lab.sav, and SAV means that this is an SPSS data file. I open it, and automatically I can see that there's already data there. There are already variables that have been already identified. Okay. So first thing you need to do is get to know a little bit the data that we have in front of us. What we did is we went to variable view and we tried to look at what are the variables we have at hand. I asked you to count how many variables we have, and you can see that we have up to 32 variables, starting by the first one, which is just called pharmacy number, and this is what I said last time is just a numbering of the questionnaires that you're using. And so we have age, gender, the experience, the degree, the graduate of, and underscore MD, so that's graduating from. What I ask you is just to get to look, take the time to look at these variables, take the time to look at the labels, take the time to look at what are the values. For example, gender, here we have 1 for female, 2 for male, degree, if you click on degree, 1 for BS, 2 for PharmD, and 9 for not applicable, because we have people that were not pharmacists answering our question. Okay, so if you need to pause this video, go ahead and pause it and get to know a little bit your variables. The next thing we did, I asked you to go to data view and look at how many records you have in this data, and you just scroll all the way down and you can see that we have 83 records. Okay, 83 records. All right, so basically that's it for as a first step. Next thing, let's go back to PowerPoint. I've asked you to find data entry errors, because this is a common problem that we face when we have entered data into SPSS or any kind of software for the matter. You may have errors that have occurred during data entry. And so what I've asked you to do is to look for these errors. One simple thing to do is go to the variable in question, variable by variable, uh, right click on it, and by doing so you get these options. And what you can do is you can sort ascending and descending. So by sorting ascending, you can see that age, the first reading is missing. We don't know the age of that female, but the second one is a minus 26. Obviously this is a data entry error, and I've asked you to fix it by clicking on it and going back and entering 26, and you fixed it. That's it. Okay, then sort descending again, and you can see that we have H 2500, which is obviously a data entry error, and I've asked you to remove it. Click on it and enter 25. Okay, then you do the same thing variable by variable. So for gender, you sort ascending. All right, so we have females from the start. Okay, remember, if you want to replace the female and male by the actual value, you can click on this icon and you can see them. So that's one for female. Click it again, you can see female. Now right click and click on descending, and here we have a problem. We have a code of 22, and we know that there's no code of 22. So obviously that's a code of 2. So you can go in and you can change that into 2, and that fixes it. Okay. All right. So these were the only 3 errors we have in this data set, but in real life you may have other errors, and what you need to do is you need to go by variable, sort, ascending, check the value. So this is the years of experience. The lowest one is 2 years. That's perfectly normal. Sort, descending. The largest one is 44, and it's also perfectly normal. Now, one thing you could do is you can compare the years of experience to the age of the person, and That also gives you an idea if it makes sense. So somebody with a 44 years of experience, age 867, that is perfectly normal. If I sort ascending again, so somebody who has only 2 years of experience and that male is actually 26 years old, okay, that seems reasonable, all right? Sorry. So first step, that's what we did. I asked you to fix the data entry errors, and I've asked you can actually continue doing that for all of them. So this is actually the first way to find the errors, by sorting variables. There's another way you can do it, and this is by running frequency. Running frequency, you're going to ask actually SPSS to do some statistics for you. All right. So here's what you do. You go to Analyze, you click on Analyze, you're going to get a number of options. Go down to Descriptive Statistics. Under Descriptive Statistics, you're going to get again a number of options and just pick frequencies. Now, what we usually do when we just want to figure out if there is a data entry error problem, we take all the variables. So I highlighted all the variables. I did the Control A, and you put them in this box right there, okay? Because you're telling SPSS, so SPSS shows you all the variables that used to be here, and then you pick the ones that you want to do something to them, and that's where you put them here. So I want to run a frequency on all the variables. So that's why I took all of them and I put them in the variables, okay? Next, I just want, there are things you can ask, but I'm not going to ask for them now. I just want a pure frequency. You click OK. Automatically, what SPSS is going to do, you can see now we're in a different view, and this is called the output window. Okay, so far you are familiar with two windows in SPSS. The first one is where you have the data, and that's, let me go back to it, right there. Okay, so that has the data view and it has the variable view. Okay, every time you ask SPSS to do something, it's going to show it to you in the output, and that's where it actually runs the frequency on all the variables. Now, every time I'm clicking on SPSS, there's this one in the middle, and that's just an empty data set that I had opened before, so I'm going to go ahead and close it. Okay, so what you should have is this. You should have a data set, and you should have an output. That's it, okay? Now, notice how the output works. The output is going to have some sort of outline of everything that it created for you right there, okay? It has the title of the tables that it created for you, and then if you want to actually see the table, you look over here. And the frequency we did, what SPS does, it creates a frequency of all the values starting from the lowest to the highest. Now this is just pharmacy number, and what all we care for this one is that every person, we had one ID per person. So what you need from here is just look at the ID and look at the frequency and make sure that the frequencies are one for all of them. So you can scroll down, they're all one, there are no twos. If you had twos, it means you had two people with the same ID. The second one is age. Again, notice how it starts with the lowest one. Now we don't have the missing anymore because we fixed it, the negative 26, because we fixed it, okay? So you scroll, the lowest age is 21, and you look all the way down, the highest one is 71. Again, we don't have the 2,500 because we fixed it. The total is 82, and we have one person with the missing age. All right, let me look at the second one. So gender, again, you have female, male, and I'm going to use this table to talk a little bit about what you see when you run a frequency. When you run a frequency, you have the title that tells you that this is the variable you're looking at. You have the values, female and male, and notice that SPSS is using the replacement of the code because we coded 1 and 2 into females and males, and SPSS is replacing them into females and males. Next, you have the frequency, the percent, valid percent, and the cumulative percent. The only thing you need to know about the percent and valid percent that these things are exactly the same if you have no missing, which is the case right there. don't have any missing, so valid percent and percent are exactly the same. Sometimes you have a missing, so I'm gonna go and try to find if I have a missing. Okay, so right there in the degree. In degree, I have a BS holder, a Farm D holder, and not applicable, and a missing. And if you look at the percentage, the missing, okay, so we left off looking at degree, and I was telling you that if you look at the valid percent and the percent in degree, they're not the same. And this is due to the fact that you have a missing. Some of the people did not report their degree, and as such, their degree was entered as missing. In the percent column, the degree gets to be counted part of the percent, and that is why if you count all the percentages, they count down to 100%. Whereas in the valid percent, the 100 is reached without the missing. And in real life, most of the time we use the valid percent rather than the actual percent. So here's another one. So we're looking at where they graduated from, and again, we have a missing, and it's not counted. Okay, so this is just to tell you that you can use this method to scroll and look if you have any code that is code that is not what you expect to see. So for example, if owner, I have yes and no, and then I have a code 7, I know that I shouldn't have a code 7. Then I'll go back to my data and I look for it and I try to fix it. Number of employees goes from 1 to 20. There's nothing wrong in that, so everything is fine. All right, so this is just another way that you can look at your data, trying to figure out if you have any data entry error. Now, as I said, if you want to just skip, go all the way down to if they're married or not, you can go on this side of the output and click on married, and it will take you to that table directly. Okay? All right, so let's check our PowerPoint. So we've done the sort variable, we've done the running frequency. We were introduced to the output window, as we said, and we talked about how you read your frequency statistics. Now, last but not least, in this session, I've asked you to select those that are not pharmacists. Okay, so basically if you go to degree and you sort it descending, you can see that these are the ones that are neither PharmD nor DS, and I've asked you to delete them. And there are two different ways you can do that. One simple way is just highlight them from that side right there. Okay, so highlight all of them and click on the delete, or you can do a right click and do a clear. Okay, so if you've done that, then you've deleted all of them, and the total now should be different. There you go, we have 71 because we deleted 12. We have 83 minus 12 is 71. Okay, now is there another way? Yes, there is another way to do that, and we're going to talk about it in session 3. For now, that's it, and I'll see you in session 3.